Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayesu Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavati Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki. Reading and discussion from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 10, verses 1 to 3. So we'll read the verse, purport, and then discuss, and then move on to next verse, purport, discuss, then the next verse. Hare Krishna. Shonaka Vacha Hatva Swariktisprad Atitayenu Yudhishthiro Dharma Bhritam Varishtha Tahanujahi Pratyavruddha Bhojana Katham Pravritta Kimakara Sitata. The translation and purport. We just read the translation and purport. Translation. Shonak Muni asked, after killing his enemies who desired to usurp his rightful inheritance, how did the greatest of all religious men, Maharaj Yudhishthir, assisted by his brothers, rule his subjects? Surely you could not freely enjoy his kingdom with unrestricted consciousness. There's a short purport here. Maharaj Yudhishthir was the greatest of all men, religion. But he was not at all inclined to fight with his cousins for the sake of enjoying the kingdom. He fought for the right cause because the kingdom of Hastinapur was his rightful inheritance, and his cousins wanted to usurp it for themselves. He fought, therefore, for the right cause under the guidance of Lord Sri Krishna. But he could not enjoy the results of his victory because his cousins were all killed in the fight. He therefore ruled over the kingdom as a matter of duty, assisted by his younger brothers. The inquiry was important for Shaunak Rishi, who wanted to know about the behavior of Maharaj Yudhishthir when he was at ease to enjoy the kingdom. Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjan Shalakaya Chakshurmiltamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Shri Chaitanya Vishtam Sthapitam Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamiyam Dadati Swapayantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utpadikamlam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagar Raghunathan Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijan Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Sahagangalita Shri Vishakhanvitanscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Kanta Radhakant Namostute Tapti Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalptaru Bhayasya Kripa Sindhu Bhevicha Patitan पाविनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मूकं करोति वाचालं भङ्गं लङ्घयति गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचारूणमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। Hare Krishna. So once again, we would like to thank you for giving us this opportunity to be able to read and discuss Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 10, verses 1 to 10, 1 to 3. So we look at the first book. The chapter is entitled that Krishna is now leaving for Dwarka. So Krishna's departure for Dwarka. And the dialogue begins in Naimisharan. So Srimad Bhagavatam is so arranged. So departure of Lord Krishna for Dwarka. And this dialogue begins in Naimisharan by Shaunak Rishi. So we are hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from Shaunak Rishi, who has heard Srimad Bhagavatam from Shukdev Goswami. So Shukdev Goswami being the speaker, in this sense, original speaker, and Shaunak Rishi is now asking question to Sud Goswami, who had heard from Shukdev Goswami directly. So parampara system we can see it here. Shaunak Rishi. Before this, we have grandfather. Bhishma wanted, grandfather Bhishma wanted to see Maharaj Yudhishthir as the king. But the circumstances were so arranged that he himself had to fight against Maharaj Yudhishthir. So once the Mahabharata battle was over, Bhishma Dev has gone back to Godhead. So the next question is, how did he rule the kingdom? Because Bhishma Dev, Dronacharya, Kripacharya, and ultimately the Supreme Lord Krishna wanted to see Maharaj Yudhishthir ruling the kingdom, ruling the earth. So Maharaj Yudhishthir ruled for some 36 years. And here the question is, how did he rule? Shaunakavacha, Hatva Swariktisprad Adatayano, Yudhishthiro Dharma Bhritam Varishtha, Sahanujai Prakti Avrudhya Bhojana, Katam Pravatta Kim Karasitata. Shaunak Muni asked, after killing his enemies who desired to usurp his rightful inheritance, how did the greatest of all religious men, Maharaj Yudhishthir, assisted by his brother, rule his subject? So the question may be that why is Shaunak Muni asking this question? If Maharaj Yudhishthir is Dharmaraj and his brothers are following him, then where is the doubt that he would not rule the kingdom properly? So the answer is, surely he could not freely enjoy his kingdom with unrestricted consciousness. This is the question. This is what the question is trying to understand. That Maharaj Yudhishthira had killed his own kinsman. And in first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna also mentions that how can I eat the how can I enjoy the kingdom or eat the remnants which are tainted with the blood of my own kinsmen, my family members. So all the enjoyable royal in, ingredients, everything, or all the enjoyments that one can get from kingdom were tainted with blood of the relatives. And if this happens to an ordinary person, it's difficult. It's very difficult to enjoy something which has got which is tainted with the blood of a family member. Very difficult. Consciousness is not the same. However, in the history, there have been many instances where a younger brother or his son would kill uh, his older brother or father and become the king. Shakespeare, the great British playwright, wrote a drama, Macbeth, which portrays similar events. Very famous drama in English literature, Macbeth. So this is difficult for a person, for an ordinary person to enjoy something which is tainted with the blood of a family relative. How can I do that? Because the consciousness will not allow you. So what to say of Maharaj Yudhishthir, who is Dharmaraj? How could he rule the kingdom where all his family members, including his gurus, have been killed? And the killer was nobody from outside. He himself and his brothers and his army were the killers. So this is what Shaunagrizi is trying to understand. And in the purport we see that Prabhupada is pointing out some of the unique characteristics of Maharaj Yudhishthir. First of all, Maharaj Yudhishthir was the greatest of all men of religion. So in the shloka we see, Yudhishthiro dharma virtam varishtha. Amongst all people who follow the religious principle, Maharaj Yudhishthir is the topmost. And this is so because Maharaj Yudhishthir is Dharmaraj. There are only two kingdoms in the history of mankind which are considered to be the ideal kingdoms. One is Ramraj, and second one is the Raj of Dharmaraj Yudhishthir. So Ramraj and Dharmaraj. The kingdom of Maharaj Yudhishthir is considered to be the most ideal kingdom, uh, on par with the kingdom of Lord Ram. So just to give you an idea, what was the kingdom of Lord Ram? Lord Ram ruled the kingdom in such a way that everyone was happy. Nobody was unhappy. Everyone has sufficient food, minerals, eatables, and nobody suffered anxiety. Nobody would die until they wanted to die. Everyone engaged in the pure devotional service of Lord Shri Ram. There is an example of a Brahmana who would not eat unless he had seen Lord Ram. So imagine what a good fortune. Kingdom of Lord Ram, all the citizens had the opportunity to see the Lord every day. So this Brahmana said, okay, my worshipable deity, Lord Ram, is present here. So he made a rule that he would not eat until he had seen Lord Ram. In Vrindavan, I have seen this. Some devotees have this rule. Local people, devotees have this rule. Of course, for ISKCON devotees, this is simple to follow because you go to Mangala Arati or deity greetings, so you see the Lord. But there are some devotees who would go to number of temples every morning, 3, 7, whatever number of temples every day, and after darshan they will have their breakfast. So this Brahmana used to come every day to see Lord Ram. So everyone was happy, and this is not possible, and this is not even imaginable in Kali Yuga. So everyone was happy this way. Nobody would die, nobody had any ailments, nobody had any anxiety. Everyone has beautiful bodies, young. So kingdom of Lord Ram was equivalent to the kingdom of the Lord in Saket Dham. And Saket Dham is Vaikuntha. So in other words, Vaikuntha could be seen in the earthly planet when Lord Ram was ruling. Similarly, Vaikuntha could be seen when Maharaj Yudhishthira was ruling, protected and guided by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. So Maharaj Yudhishthira was uh, the topmost personality in following the regulative principles. So here we see Sahanujai Prati Avruddha Bhojana. The word used by Shaunaka Rishi is Bhojana. Bhojana means eating, food, but here it means acceptance of necessities or proper translatives. Or in other words, the things that we enjoy in life. So sometimes enjoyable things are also known as bhojana, bhojan. Not necessarily food, but anything that gives us pleasure or we enjoy life. So this question is being asked because just before departure of the Lord, Mahabharata has taken place. Bhishma Dev has gone back to Vaikuntha, and now the Lord is about to leave. This is second time the Lord is leaving Hastinapur, and first time when he was about to leave, then Uttara came, very afraid of the Brahmastra of Ashwatthama. So then the Lord stayed, and Kunti Maharani started her prayers. So Krishna listened to her prayers, but he was still determined to go. Then Maharaj Yudhishthira came forward, and he did not say anything. He just broke down in tears. So Maharaj Yudhishthira's tears stopped the Lord. Maharaj Yudhishthira was so aggrieved. He just broke down in tears because the Supreme Lord, most lovable object, was leaving. And the Lord is leaving. And we have Shaunak Rishi asking that how did Maharaj rule the kingdom? Because entire battle of Mahabharata was arranged so that Maharaj Yudhishthira could become the emperor of the earthly planet. So now the question is, did he rule for the purpose he was installed as a king? And here we see that the Lord himself was a subordinate king. Maharaj Yudhishthira was the emperor, and Krishna in Dwarka acted as a subordinate king to Maharaj Yudhishthira. Dwarka was independent kingdom, but still the Lord was not acting as the emperor because there was an arrangement between the Sun dynasty, Suryavans, and Chandravans. So when the Chandravanshi king became an emperor, a Suryavanshi king would be subordinate king. But here we say that Krishna and Maharaj Yudhishthir are from the same Chandravans. So when Maharaj Yudhishthir was installed as a king, Krishna simply became a subordinate king to Maharaj Yudhishthir. Because the Lord wanted Yudhishthir to be glorified at the topmost of all kings. Maharaj Yudhishthir was Dharmvartam because in his kingdom, like Lord Ram's kingdom, everyone was happy. Everything was opulent, happy, and all citizens engaged in pure devotional service. Nobody would die until they wanted to die, and nobody would have any ailments like like King Lord Ram. So it was similar to Lord Ram's kingdom. So these kingdoms are famous. Let's look at the next verse. When Sud Goswami starts answering this query of Shaunaka Rishi. Sutta Vacha Vansham Kurur Vansha Davagni Nirhatam Sanrohitva Bhavabhavan Hari Niveshitva Nijrajeshwaro Yudhishtaram Pritimana Bhava. Sutta Goswami said, Lord Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the maintainer of the world, became pleased after re-establishing Maharaj Yudhishthir in his kingdom. And after restoring the Kuru dynasty, which had been exhausted by the bamboo fire of anger. This word is compared to a forest fire caused by the cohesion of bamboo bushes. Such a forest fire takes place automatically, for bamboo cohesion occurs without external cause. Similarly, in the material world, the wrath of those who want to lord it over material nature interacts, and the fire of war takes place, exhausting the unwanted population. Such fires or wars take place, and the Lord has nothing to do with them. But because he wants to maintain the creation, he desires the mass of people to follow the right path of self-realization, which enables the living beings to enter into the kingdom of God. The Lord wants the suffering human beings to come back home, back to him, and cease to suffer the threefold material pangs. The whole plan of creation is made in that way. And one who does not come to his senses suffers in the material world by pangs inflicted by the illusory energy of the Lord. The Lord therefore wants his bona fide representative to rule the world. Krishna descended to establish this sort of regime and to the unwanted persons who have nothing to do with his plan. The battle of Kurukshetra was fought according to the plan of the Lord so that undesirable persons could get out of the world and a peaceful kingdom under his devotee could be established. The Lord was therefore fully satisfied when King Yudhishthira was on the throne. The seedling of the dynasty of Kuru in the person of Maharaj Parikshit was saved. So we see in this verse, Sud Goswami is answering Shaunaka Rishi's question by pointing out the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Maharaj Yudhishthira did not want to be a king. You have read this in the previous chapter, that he was holding himself responsible for the death of 18 crores of people. 18 crore people died. So millions of people died on the battlefield of Kurukshetra in 18 days. And Maharaj Yudhishthira was really aggrieved. He kept on crying and crying and crying. And Lord Krishna Lord Vyasdev came, all the rishis came to pacify him. He was not being pacified. Ultimately, um, Lord Krishna also tried to pacify him. But it so happened, and there Bhishmadev's instructions pacified Maharaj Yudhishthira completely. So you have read about that event, and here we see that Krishna is pleased. So Maharaj Yudhishthira became to please Krishna. That was his motive. Maharaj Yudhishthira arranged the Rajasuya Yajna to worship Krishna. Narad Muni once came and he said to Maharaj Yudhishthira that I have seen Maharaj Pandu in the heavenly planets. He wanted me to convey this message to you. He wants that you should arrange a Rajasuya Yajna. Rajasuya Yajna is done by the king, is executed by an emperor to establish his sovereign kingdom, to establish his authority on all the other kingdoms. So Maharaj Yudhishthira is not really interested. Ashwamedh Yajna is done. So Maharaj Yudhishthira was not interested in becoming the emperor. But then he thought that in that assembly, when all the kings in the world are coming, subordinate kings, he would worship Krishna, the Supreme Personality. So with this idea, Maharaj to do Rajasuya Yajna. All the sages came. Lord Parashuram and Vishwamitra Muni, Vasishtha, all great sages came, including Narad Muni. So in that great assembly, Lord Vyasdev and all the great sages were there, and all the kings from different parts of the world were there. They accepted Maharaj Yudhishthira as their emperor. This was before the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So in that great assembly, Maharaj Yudhishthira worshipped Krishna. So when proposal came that who should we worship topmost personality in this assembly. So grandfather Bhishma, he proposed that Krishna should be worshipped. Because there were so many great personalities, including Lord Vyasdev, Lord Parashuram, and all the great sages, Asit, Deval, Narad Muni, and then Bhishma Deva himself, the great Mahajan. So the proposal was that Krishna is the only worshipable personality in this assembly. Everyone accepted it, except Shishupal. So Shishupal was then eventually killed. He insulted the Lord, and eventually, with the Sudarshan Chakra of the Lord, he was killed. So that was the purpose of Maharaj Yudhishthira organizing the Rajasuya Yajna, just to worship Krishna. Because when the emperor is worshipping Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then the idea was that all the kings will accept him. And when the kings of different uh, kingdoms, subordinate kingdoms, accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then naturally they will establish where the entire planet will become like Vaikuntha, who is a pure devotee of the Lord. Maharaj Yudhishthir, along with his brothers, would follow Ekadashi like an ordinary devotee, although they were all Mahajanas. They were associate of the Lord. They were so fortunate that anything happened in Hastinapur, Krishna would immediately leave Dwarka and come to the rescue. So they would see the Lord face to face. Very fortunate position. We see that Krishna is satisfied. Sansiddhim Haritoshanam. So Krishna was satisfied to see Maharaj Yudhishthir installed as the emperor of the world. Now we see that when Krishna left the planet, as soon as Maharaj Yudhishthir heard from Arjuna that our most lovable worship Krishna has left the planet, this was enough for him, and immediately he installed Maharaj Parikshit as the emperor, took away all his garments, and left for the forest. So he was a king only to set Godhead Krishna. And when Krishna left the planet, Maharaj Yudhishthira immediately left his kingdom and wrapped himself in torn clothes, took away his royal garments, all his ornaments, and left for the north. Similarly, Arjuna used to allow Krishna to drive his chariot. Why? Because it pleased the Lord. Krishna used to be pleased. So in order for Krishna's pleasure, sometimes the devotees, they allow the Lord to do some menial tasks. Just like Nand Maharaj, he asked Krishna, my dear son, can you bring my shoes? So Krishna will say, yes, Baba. And then he'll bring Krishna's shoes. He'll bring Nand Maharaj's shoes on his head. Why? Because it just pleases the Lord. So Arjuna used to allow the Lord to drive his chariot because it pleased him. So whatever pleases the Lord, the devotees do. In Arjuna's case, because he was related to Krishna in friendly relationships, so it was not awkward. In Vrindavan, there's no consideration. In Dwarka and Hastinapur, the associates of the Lord, they know Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so their love for the Lord is subjugated by the feeling of awe. It's not fully blossomed. But in Vrindavan, this is not the case. In Vrindavan, Krishna's friends, they want to they want to climb onto his shoulders. They want to see him subjugated, and Krishna loves it. So Vrindavan is different, let's say. It's Madhurya, all Madhurya, sweetness. But in Hastinapur and Dwarka, they have the understanding that although the Lord is enacting as the relative, the family member or relative, but he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, so the Lord is pleased here. Now, when we look at Prabhupada's purport, Prabhupada explains that although the of various family members like Duryodhan and Dushashan and many kings like Shishupal, Jarasandha sided with Krishna. with Duryodhana. Because of the anger, the entire dynasty and millions of Kshatriyas were eradicated. So this forest fire takes automatically, as Prabhupada explains, Sansara Dava Nalali Loka, Prana Kalyan Gunanavasya. The forest fire takes place automatically. Everybody is burning in the forest fire. And the forest fire, Davagni and Badvagni. Sometimes there's a fire in the ocean, and that kind of fire is called Badvagni. Just like few years back, British Petroleum made a mess of their sea reservoirs. Millions of gallons of petrol, crude oil, was leaking from the well, underneath the well in the ocean. And that created a fire. So much devastation took place. So that's, but sometimes there's a fire in the ocean, and sometimes there's a fire in the forest due to the rubbing of the bamboo trees. So just like the first fire takes place automatically, so this fire of anger of Duryodhan and other Kurus and other inimical kings to Maharaj Yudhishthira burnt all Kshatriyas and also the dynasty of Kurus, particularly the Kuru dynasty headed by Duryodhana. But Krishna cannot be blamed for that. Krishna has nothing to do with this. So how is saying, Sujami Tanyuktuham Hara Harati Tadvasha Vishwam Purusrupena Paripati Trishakti Dhrit. Lord Brahma is saying to Narad Muni that I create this material world, but I'm not the original creator. Lord Shiva is destroying this material world, but he is not the original destroyer. Similarly, Lord Vishnu maintains this material world, but he is not a maintainer. In one sense, he is, but on the other hand, it says Vishwam Purus Rupena Paripati Trishakti. To Krishna, who is the origin of all three Vishnu forms, he is creating, maintaining, and destroying the material world through his energy. Lord Brahma and Brahma Samhita also from this. Srishti Sthiti Pralaya Sadhana Shakti Rekha Unatidra Chanurupam Piyasta Chacheshtate Sa Govindam Adi Purusham Tamham Bhajami. I worship primeval Lord Govinda by material energy is creating, maintaining, and destroying this material world like a shadow. So ultimately, Krishna is Sarvakaran Karan. But at the same time, the Lord has nothing to do with these acts of creation and destruction because he is doing everything through his energy. So he remains aloof, just like the sky. Krishna gives the energy the sky, the air in the atmosphere. Similarly, Krishna is accommodating everything, the creation, maintenance, destruction. But at the same time, he is not directly involved with this creation, maintenance, and destruction. So here
Hare Krishna, Raghupati
they
Prabhu.
were eradicated. So somebody say that, yeah,
Hare Krishna,
Hare,
Prabhu. Your audio is breaking,
oh,
audio and video both. I think I was thinking it's on my side. Um, is it possible to log off and log in? Because there's quite a disturbance, I feel.
okay, Hare Krishna. So we'll be back in a moment. Let's just come out and go back. Hare Krishna, is it now? Can I check into?
Yeah, it looks okay now, bro.
Yeah.
Let's give it a try.
Okay. Yeah. Shall we carry on?
It seems to be still breaking.
Okay. Let me just share this again with you. And looks like something with the internet connection at this end. On my, we'll continue for next few minutes. If it is continuing, then we may have to stop the class.
Okay, bro. Okay. Yeah, let's carry.
Okay, is it all audible at the moment?
It is audible, bro, but
Yeah.
sometimes
Okay.
there's a lag.
It's
Um,
breaking.
yeah, it's breaking. It's fine, bro. Let's continue.
Mm. Okay. So yeah, it looks like some problem with the internet connection at this end. Okay, so Krishna's now they were eradicated, and somebody may say that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. Why? That he's installing some people as kings and emperors, and he is agreed to his plan. So Krishna is all auspicious. His devotional service is all auspicious. His name, fame, activities, everything is all auspicious. His name, fame, activities, everything is all auspicious. Everyone in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, simply by seeing Krishna at the time of their death in the battlefield, they all went back home back to God. So this is all auspicious. Whether Krishna kills somebody or he gives them or installs them as king, Krishna is all auspicious. Okay, now we move on to next verse. Frightened by what was spoken by Vishnu. And Lord Sri Krishna. The infatuation of Krishna is, in fact, the infatuation of Vishnu.
Hare Krishna. Apologies once again. I think we've lost him again. Um,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yeah, thank you so much for coming
I
back.
think connection again. Yeah, is it better?
No, Prabhu, it's still breaking. There's a slight lag
It's still
in the
breaking.
audio. Yeah.
Okay, what we do then? Let's just continue for 5 to 6 minutes and then see how it goes. If not,
Prabhu,
then
if you try stopping your
yeah.
video sometime, rain might be better. Just do audio and maybe if that helps
Okay,
with the rain.
let's try that. Yeah. The connection is still unstable.
No
Okay,
worries,
bro. I
Prabhu.
think I lost the.
Uh,
If you can just,
uh,
if you just put the verse 3.
okay, okay.
You already
Uh,
turned the video. Video is
oh,
off.
yeah, you've turned off the video, but yeah, still there's some lag. By any chance, is it possible to log in using your phone? Sometimes laptops they need a restart, or they usually tend to lag. Phones are much better at times,
Okay.
if possible. Otherwise, we'll continue
Uh,
as it is.
okay. Let me log on the phone then. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
अथाच्युतम उक्तम विषम भीष्म उक्तम अथ अच्युत उक्तम प्रवृत्ति विज्ञान विधूत विभ्रम शास गाविंद्र इवाजिताश्रय परिध्युपान्ताम अनुजानुवर्तिता. Maharaj Yudhishthir after and Lord Sri Krishna, infallible, engaged himself in matters of perfect knowledge, because all his misgivings were eradicated. He birth and sees and was followed by his younger brothers. So I'm just going to read part of the purport. It's very long purport. No, in fact, it's okay. I think it's okay. And then just wrap up the session. The modern of primogeniture or the law of inheritance was also prevalent in those days when Maharaj Yudhishthira ruled the earth and seas. In those now part of New Delhi, was the emperor of the world, including seas, up to the time of Maharaj Parikshit, the grandson of Maharaj Yudhishthira. Maharaj Yudhishthira's younger brothers were acting as his ministers and commanders of state, and there was full cooperation between the perfectly religious brothers of the king. Maharaj Yudhishthira was the ideal king or the representative of Lord Sri Krishna to rule over the kingdom of earth and was comparable to King Indra, the representative ruler of the heavenly planets. Demigods like Indra, Chandra, Surya, Varun, and Vayu are representative kings of different planets of the universe. And similarly, Maharaj Yudhishthira was also one of them, ruling over the kingdom of the earth. Maharaj Yudhishthira was not only a typically unenlightened leader of modern democracy, Maharaj Yudhishthira was instructed by Bhishma Dev and the Pandavas the infallible law, and therefore he had full knowledge of everything in perfection. The modern elected executive head of the state is just like a puppet because he has no kingly power. Even he is enlightened, like Maharaj Yudhishthir. He cannot do anything out of his own good, will due to own good, will due to his constitution. Therefore, there are so many states over the earth quarreling because of ideological differences or other selfish. But a king like Maharaj Yudhishthir had no ideology. He had but to follow the instructions of the infallible Lord and the Lord and the authorized agent Bhismadev. It is instructed in these Shastras that king should follow the great authority and the infallible Lord without any personal motive and manufactured ideology. Therefore, it was possible for Maharaj Yudhishthir to rule the whole world, including the state, because the principles were infallible and universally applicable to everyone. The conception of one world state can only be fulfilled if we can follow Bhagavad Gita's authority. An imperfect human being cannot create an ideology acceptable to everyone. Only the perfect and the infallible can create a program which is applicable at every place and can be followed by all in the world. It is instructed in these Shastras that law of nature. The executive head must be a trained person like Maharaj Yudhishthir, and he must have the full autocratic power to rule over the world. The world state can take shape only under the regime of a king like Maharaj Yudhishthir. The world was happy in those days because there were kings like Maharaj Yudhishthir to rule over the kingdom, to rule over the world. So, and we are uh, close to the time, 9 o'clock. So I'm just going to spend maybe a couple of minutes. If you can all stay on place, and then we wrap. What is being portrayed here is the king who is working under the direction of the Supreme Lord Achyutashraya. He is qualified to rule over the earth. And in Maharaj Yudhishthir's case, this was the perfect combination because Krishna happened to be Maharaj Yudhishthir's dearmost cousin, his guru, his guide, and his family relative. So good combination. A pure devotee guided by the Supreme Personality of Godhead ruled the kingdom. The 12th canto. We hear the degradation of the kings after Maharaj Parikshit and the chaotic state. So there, Sutta Goswami is telling the sages in Naimisharan what will happen as initiated by Shukdev Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit. So Maharaj Parikshit heard from Shukdev Goswami what will happen in Kali Yuga. So what will happen? Prajaste bhukshi santi mlecha rajanya rupana. This is what will happen. That the kings who will degrade themselves and will be simply mlechas, completely opposite to Vedic culture, and they will be most degraded demoniac kings. What will they do? to their public, Prajaste Bhukshishyanti. They will devour their public. So the degradation has already begun after Maharaj Parikshit's kingdom, then civilization, and now the world is in chaotic state. Every country is in chaotic state, whether they are kingdoms or they are democracies, is in chaotic state. Here in the UK, we have political chaos going on. It's been going on for last a good few months. Chaotic state. So this is what would happen, and it is already happening. What will the heads of state do in Kali Yuga? They will levy so heavy taxes that the subjects, public, will become so fed up that they will leave their homes and cities and go to the forest. So we can see that people are moving from one country to another country to another country. British people want to move to Australia, and people in Australia probably want to move to New Zealand. So this is all happening. Indians want to move to the west, Western people want to go to India, and this is all happening. So the world has become chaotic, like a global village, and there's so much chaos at the moment, and particularly there's political chaos. So when Krishna established Maharaj Yudhishthira as the kingdom, Maharaj Yudhishthira ruled the world in such a way that everyone was happy and everything was under control. His kingdom was like the kingdom of Lord Indra. Lord Vamandeva. His kingdom was like the kingdom of Lord Indra, by Lord Upendra, Lord Vamandeva. Maharaj Yudhishthira was ruling the earthly kingdom, blessed by and guided by Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself. When the Lord was going from Hastinapur to Dwarka, he was glancing over Maharaj Yudhishthira's kingdom, and simply by his glance, the earth had been impregnated with jewels, fruits, grains, and pure waters in the river, greeneries, medicines, herbs. Maharani Kunti is pointing this out in her prayers. She says, Supak Aushati Virudha, O Vikshadai. My dear Lord, simply by your glance, all our kingdom has become opulent with herbs, medicines, minerals, pure water, rain. Everything has become perfect. So Maharaj Yudhishthira was ruling the kingdom, blessed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and therefore he has been Indradeva himself. All his brothers, who were also partial incarnations of different demigods, they were assisting him. So Bhim, partial incarnation of Vayudev, and Arjuna, Indradev, and Nikul Sahadev as Ashni Kumaras. So that's why he has been likened here to King Indra. When a king is a devotee, then entire population becomes devotee. And one who becomes a devotee of the Lord, whether he is a king or the public, general subject, becomes happy. That is the formula of Sarvalok Maheshwaram, Suhridam Sarvabhutanam, Gyatvam Shantam Rachati. The peace formula is to accept Krishna as the Bhokta, the enjoyer of everything. Bhuktaram Yaga Saptapsham. All the sacrifices, all the austerities, everything is meant for Krishna's pleasure. Then Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is Sarvalok Maheshwaram. He is the supreme authority. He is the sovereign of all the planets. Aham sarvasya prabhu. And then suhridam sarvabhutanam gyattamam shantam gacchati. He is the dearmost friend of all living beings. So anyone who knows this becomes peaceful. And a king who knows this also makes his kingdom a very happy and peaceful place. Hare Krishna. So we have gone over some 7 minutes and we apologize for all the interruption. We'll finish here. We just finish here. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Raghupati Prabhu. Thank you so much. I request all the devotees, if you have any questions, any comments to share, please come forward.
Okay, so there seems to be no comment, question. So perhaps we should stop here.
Yeah, yes, Prabhu. Yes. Thank you so much once again, Raghupati Prabhu,
Yeah.
for nice explanations. Although there were some technical difficulties, but still we carried on. Thank you once again. Um, we hope to hear from you again very soon. His Grace Raghupati Prabhu ki jai.
Thank you, Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.